Let go and be free. Or hang on and suffer. That's the choice. It's not a real out of the question choice. It's like it's obvious. If you hang on to stuff, you suffer. If you hang on to past, you suffer. And if you let it go, you don't. And so you're the one creating your suffering. Welcome to Satsang. Yes, Tosh.
Hello, Vishrant. Why is it crucial for seekers to let go of the past?
Because it's not real. It's simple. It's like you're hanging on to something that's dead. The past is gone. People who hang on to the past, it's like they're into some kind of painful experience, because what we hang on to is usually loss. And then we project that loss into the future. We're going to miss that, this, that, and the other. You don't hang on to the past, not unless you want to be miserable. You want to be happy, you become like a little kid. You move into the moment. You play. You have no past. You have no future. You have a now. In other words, you have reality. Well, why should people let go of the past? It's like hanging on to barbed wire. Why would you want to do that? People dig up the dead and then play with them. It's called past memories. There's something wrong with that. Anything else, Tosh?
So how do I let go of the past?
Well, if you're not hanging on to it, you don't need to. That's the silly bit, isn't it? It's like, how do you let go of anything?
How do you let go of anything?
Yeah, really. It takes effort to hang on to things. It takes no effort at all to let go. It takes no effort at all to be in flow. It takes a lot of effort to be stuck. You have to put a lot of effort into being stuck. And a lot of people you meet, they live as stuckness. And they wonder why they get tired all the time. Let go and be free. Or hang on and suffer. That's the choice. And it's not a real out of the question choice. It's like it's obvious. If you hang on to stuff, you suffer. If you hang on to past, you suffer. And if you let it go, you don't. And so you're the one creating your suffering. Though people like to turn themselves into victims and blame something else, because they're not responsible enough to realize that they make themselves feel and take responsibility for that. In this life, I've liked to be happy. You don't hang on to the past. That doesn't make you happy. You don't hang on to, you don't project to the future either. You don't live in hope. That's another way to make yourself unhappy. A lot of religions are based on hope. Hope that if they're goody two-shoes, they'll go to heaven or something like that. But hope's a projection. It's not real. And the other side of hope, the terrible part, is the fear that you're not going to get what you want. So hope's a two-sided coin. I wouldn't sell hope to anybody. I'd have to be their enemy. And I don't have enemies, I have friends. Anything else?
Why do people often not want to let go of the past?
Are we going to continue along this line of questioning? Why don't people want to let go of the past? God knows. I have no interest in hanging on to the past. The past is dead. It's like you go down to the graveyard and dig your relatives up. Have the last waltz with them or something. It's like, what for what? I've had, like everybody else who's been alive for a while, I've had a lot of tragedies. A lot of people have died. A lot of people have got sick. and died. A lot of people have car accidents and died. I've had quite a few people commit suicide who are friends of mine. I've had all sorts of things go wrong. Been betrayed, been lied to, been stolen from. So what? That's in the past. Why would I want to bring it into the now and hurt myself with it? That would be me punishing me for something somebody else did. You know, it's like there's a form of stupidity in that. Let the past go.
What's your opinion on hanging on to happy memories?
Same. What about creating a happy memory right now? Why hang on to something from the past? Even if it's a happy memory. Why hang on to anything from the past? That's all dream, it's not real. I love reality. I don't like the dream. I think the dream sucks. I watch people living in dream hurting themselves. For what? Doesn't change anything. The now is real. This moment is fresh. It is pristine. The only way it can get polluted is if you start thinking. Otherwise, it's pristine.
Is healing required to let go of the past?
Sorry?
Is healing needed to let go of the past?
Okay. Hanging on. This is going to be a tough one for you. Letting go. Did you see it? I'll do it again because you might not be quick enough. Hanging on. Letting go. How hard was that?
Looked pretty easy.
Now, if you want to practice it, you can practice it anytime you like. Hang on, letting go. And if that's not enough for you, you can use the toilet. Hanging on, letting go. You know? When people say they can't let go, they obviously haven't been to the toilet for a while.
So, how does a seeker deal with things from the past that were hurtful or caused anger or regret?
Oh, it's a bit like we go back to the toilet thing, you know? Once you've let go, do you then play with it? Or do you flush it? You know? You play with the past, angsty memories, you're going to hurt yourself. It's like playing with shit. Why would you want to do that to yourself? You've got to look at the lack of intelligence in doing that. How intelligent is it to reminisce about the past losses, hurt yourself, change absolutely nothing in the world but hurt yourself? How intelligent is that? Really? You'd have to be a bit dumb, wouldn't you? And everybody's going, yeah, that's me. It's like, let go and be free. Why hang on to anything? Ever. From the past. Anything else?
So there are lessons to be learnt from our own history, is there not?
You're gonna try and head fuck me, aren't you? There are lessons to be learned. Yeah, the idea is, if you make a mistake, try not to repeat it, right? You don't go out there and think, "Oh, I've made a mistake. Let me repeat that." No, if you don't learn from the history that you've had, well, you're just going to repeat the same thing over and over again. Which, by the way, is what most human adults do. They just repeat, 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 and then we get into death, and then most people don't remember, but I do. You repeat again. You come back and do the whole lot again anyway. Another life of misery if you actually haven't learnt to let go of things and stop projecting into the future, which is all dream. There's nothing real about it. Your memories and your projections aren't real. Where do you live? Do you live in reality, or do you live in some dream that you're manufacturing that makes you unhappy? Good question. Then look around and have a look at your parents and their friends and your friends. Are they living in reality, or are they living in their heads a lot of the time? Are they happy, or are they sad? Someone who lives in the moment will be happy. 2-year-olds live in the moment. People who are awake live in the moment. People who practice openness and higher consciousness meditation live in the moment. People who live in their heads are miserable, and they are so happy to spread that misery with you, tell you their sad stories and drag you down the chute as well. Or haven't you noticed that? Good people to avoid. Why would you want to hang out with people who live in miserable stories that they create? Because life is hard for all human beings. We all have tragedy. We all have things that don't work for us. Every human being's the same. What's the difference between a happy one and a miserable one? Good question. I've given you a few clues. Work it out. Anything else?
Yeah, one more. What is meant when teachers talk about the power of now?
Well, there's this guy came from another planet or another dimension called Eckhart Tolle, and he wrote this book called The Power of Now. And I read it, 20-something years ago, and I read it and I realized there's only one thing in here, this book, that's wrong. He didn't tell people how hard it was to get back to the moment once they've lived in their heads for 10 years or 20 years. You see, we go to school for 12 years and learn to live in our heads. Unfortunately, most people never get out of their heads again. And so the power of now is living in the moment. There's no doubt about that. Eckhart Tolle got it absolutely right. But because he wanted to make a fortune out of that particular subject, he didn't tell people how hard it was going to be. You try being in the moment all day long. Now, it's absolutely possible. But if you've been in school for 12 years or more, or even less, you will have learnt to live in your head. You'll be projecting a lot of the time. You'll be remembering a lot of the time. You'll be analysing a lot of the time, because that's what you're programmed to do. Most human adults do that until they die. I call it suffering. Anything else?
So school age, between 5 years old and 17 or something, 18, that's the age when we pick up the most, and then that's how we live for the rest of our life.
Yeah, isn't it sad? Doesn't it make you feel like killing yourself?
So, basically, schooling sets us up for suffering because of the way that it happens.
Oh, schooling is, yeah, it does. It sets us up for it in more ways than you can imagine. The school system works on competition. You compete with other students to get high marks. You compete with other students to win at sports. It prepares you for war.
So back before the modern schooling system was established, in a lot of societies, kids were trained to be warriors, or they had to use their bodies. It wasn't sitting in a classroom.
So,
So do you
sounds
think,
like fun.
yeah, like there was more chance to be in the moment instead of just living in your head?
Yeah, well, I look at my grandparents who were both born before in the 18th century, 1890s, and these people weren't victims of life. They didn't suffer much because they didn't turn themselves into massive victims of anything. They just made life work because American television hadn't hit yet with the story. Someone does something wrong, they're the victim. Someone rescues them, they're the hero. And so nowadays we have all these victims, because of American television. And victim-orientated thinking, people who think they're a victim of anything are just hurting themselves. Changes nothing, but that's what's actually happening. My grandparents weren't like that. And I haven't been like that either, because I was fortunate enough to hear the things I teach about victim-orientated thinking when I was 19. And I stopped it because I could see clearly that people who see themselves as victims create suffering for themselves, which never stops. And it's a choice. You don't have to be a victim of anything. Shit happens. That's it. You don't have to be a victim of it, ever. Shit happens.